Okay, so here we are back in the shop again. And today I am going to show you how to disassemble a McPherson strut assembly using a spring compressor. There are a couple of different types of spring compressors that we could have. So I'll be using a style like this today. You could also have a style that is going to look like that. And it's the same general principle. You would just crank this up and down. And it's going to bring this piece up here and it's gonna just compress the spring that way. Um, I just find these ones easier to use. It's not to say that the other one is bad or doesn't work. It works perfectly fine. It's just more what I'm comfortable with. So I will show you guys how to use this one. I will start off by setting this up, the strut on the compressor, get it all marked up, and then we'll start compressing it down. Before we get started, again, we're dealing with springs, so we must not forget our safety glasses. So here we go. Let's grab our strut. So we want to try and get it to get our spring compressor to sit on the lowest part possible on the strut and the highest part possible. Basically, take your lowest spring that you can get on, little shield back on there, rotate it around. So that's about as low as I can get on here. We're gonna lock this guy down. Then I'm gonna go on to the other side here. The goal is when we are setting up the strut on the compressor is that it's set up evenly. We don't want a cockeyed spring. We want when it clamps down that it's compressing that spring evenly. So now that the bottom is on, we can go ahead and put the top. Sometimes you have to just draw it in a little bit. And there we go. Okay, there's the other one. So we're pretty much ready here. Like I was saying, I always like to mark my struts, and it just makes it easier for the reassembly process. So you can see that we have, this is the back of the strut. So I just like to, and it lines up pretty close with this nut here. So I'll just give it a little, oh, again, it's not really precise. It's just, it gives me a kind of a starting point when I'm trying to put my pieces back together there. Okay, so there we go. I didn't put my gloves on today. Ooh, let's put some gloves on. 1, 2. Okay, so here we are. Got our gloves on. So these are all clamped down, locked down, ready to go. So we can start compressing it. I want to make sure first off that we're going the right way. There we go. We're going the right way. Now you can see we're going to slowly start compressing it. Um, and as it's compressing, we want to ensure that it is compressing evenly. So we don't want the spring to be moving any, it's sliding sideways, then that's signs that it's not being compressed evenly. So we're going to keep cranking it down here. And we want it just enough. So you see we have tension off of the strut so it moves. So that's perfect. There's no sense in going tighter. We can go tighter, but all we're doing is putting more strain on the spring, and we're just increasing the risk of it potentially coming off and hitting us in the puss. So that is more than sufficient. I'll just move this to get out of the way. So at this point here, it's really straightforward. We just have to take off this top nut for the strut. It's an 18. It can be done with an impact gun. Um, from experience, I seem to find that the air impacts work better for taking off these style nuts as opposed to a battery one, but you guys do you. So here we go. Again, when it's coming off, there is a possibility that strut will fall, so just keep an eye on that. Okay, okay, so that nut's off. And just like that, our strut is out. So that is our strut all taken apart. That really wasn't too bad, was it? Let's see if we can get a little closer. We'll have a look at the bearing plate here. Okay, so here's the top plate or the bearing. So you can see it spins nice and freely. Everything's happy on it. We wanted to see exactly what it was. So this is the top plate. Um, these three screws here are what is going to attach to the vehicle from the strut tower. So that would sit on there, and you would attach your three screws, one, two, three, from under the hood. Then we have the actual bearing itself. So always a good idea just to check it, make sure there's no chunkiness in it. Um, so that guy is nice and smooth. And then we have our spring. Sometimes there will be a rubber insulator that'll sit up here, not on this specific guy. It's not really a big deal. And there will be that. Then let's have a look at our strut here. Okay, so here we are, we're back, and we'll just pull apart the strut. There's not too much to pull apart, really, realistically. So this guy here also does not have a rubber insulator, but quite often there'd be a rubber insulator that would sit on the bottom of the strut right there, just to kind of prevent noises between this metal contact. We can take apart. So this is our dust boot, and just a vibration dampener that is going to sit on the strut itself. And this is what the strut looks like when it's all disassembled. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. So yeah, our strut. If we want to look at it completely, so this would be where our sway bar link would attach. These are the two bolts here that is going to attach to the steering knuckle. Right over here would be where our flexos for the brake would clip into. And right here would be where our ABS wire would plug into. That's about it. We have our main piston here. So you can always, if you want to check, see if it's still good, we can push down on it. See, it comes up nice and happy. If it was dead, it would not come back, but it comes back, right? Well, that's basically it. There's nothing more complicated than that. I'll go through the reassembly process as if it was a new strut. This is virtually a new strut, but as if we were putting a new one on. It would just be the opposite of our disassembly. Give me 2 seconds here. I'll get set up. Okay, so we're back. Like I was saying, this strut here did not have a rubber insulator. So particularly because of this one, I would like to put a little bit of grease just around here. And all that's going to do is, again, there's a lot of tension on the spring, so it's not supposed to move, but it is a metal on metal contact. So I just better safe than sorry. You don't need a lot of grease. It's really just so that it hopefully doesn't make any noises, not that it should. And again, you can really use any grease. You can use, it's not like the brakes where it's no temperature silicone base. It doesn't really matter. You can use bearing grease, axle grease, uh, KY jelly, whatever you want, Vaseline. It don't really matter. Whatever you're fancy, you can use on that. I'm going to put our insulator back on, and we'll put a little bit of grease on the top spring as well. Again, it's just better safe than sorry. We just don't want any noises. Here we go. So that's that. Put our bearing plate back on. Just get rid of that grease that's on my hands here. So I lined up my lines so we can try and line them up to the best of our ability. There we go. So those are all lined up. And it's just a matter of putting the strut through the middle. We have to make sure you can see on the strut there is a dimple. So right here, that is where the end of the spring has to sit. So this guy right here, it's going to butt up in that little dimple. And then it's going to go around from there. It should line up to where we are. So what I normally do is I normally start the nut just so I don't have to hold this. Okay, it started. Now that spring can dangle there. So from this point on, I normally try and get it close to where I'm going. And I will start releasing it. I'm not going to release it all the way because our nut is not tight. I value my life, but it's just to put a little bit of tension on it so that we can move this spring around and get it in the right spot. So that looks like where we would want. Okay, so there we go. Got tension on it enough that it's not going to move. We're going to tighten this again. Tighten it to spec, please. Okay. 2 ratatas for this guy. It's nice and tight there now. You know what? We can give it 1 more ratata just because. Done. Bam, bam. Thank you, ma'am. So now we can let it up. We're going to take off our upper arms here. 1, 2. Hopefully, take off the lower ones here. Sometimes they get a little stuck. If that's the case, just grab a pair of channel locks and just give it a loosen like that. There, like so. Oh yeah, so there we go. It's off. That would be one side right there. Everything's good. When it's on the ground, just make sure that you have everything lining up properly. So we can see that our spring is butting up in the corner where it should be. We have a nice even contact at the top. There's no issues there. So this bad boy would be ready to be reinstalled on the vehicle. And that's it. Quick and painless.